My name's Amelia Tracy. I'm in Boston, founder of a company called Conducive. We're a design development company that is building ecosystem services into urban environments for a couple of reasons. One is that as humanity moves into urban environments for mostly economic reasons, we're choosing to evolve away from nature. And as a species, we have incredible complexities that we've evolved with because we have evolved in nature. And as we remove ourselves from nature, we're blunting ourselves as a species from the intelligence that we've evolved. So I think it's really important that we really think about how we can create urban environments that replicate and reproduce natural ecosystems for ourselves and for the variety of other species that live in those places that we're developing. The second reason that I'm doing this work is for the integration of our natural ecosystems into the way that humanity develops on Earth in general. Doesn't even have to be in a city necessarily. Humanity has the opportunity right now and the intelligence and the access to information through the internet to decide 100% how we evolve as a species and what other species we allow to evolve with us and what other species we take down in our wake. That's why it's called the Anthropocene. And what biomimicry does is it provides a set of operating conditions that all life on Earth that has thrived has integrated into their evolution. You know, the operating conditions that that everything that works on planet Earth bears witness to and respects as its manifesto. And as a species that's a part of the world, that's very much dependent on the world, I think it's prudent for us to recognize the patterns that allow other species to thrive on Earth. And for the record, most of the species that have thrived on Earth have been around for a lot longer than humans. So what lessons can we learn from them about how to be on this planet in a way that creates conditions that are conducive to life, you know, creates opportunities for peace and joy and community, safety. Okay. So biomimicry is looking at nature as mentor and model, not looking at nature for her resources that can be used for us, right? So not saying we can go pump the shale gas out and use it for our energy, but how do natural ecosystems, different species within natural ecosystems even create their own energy so that we can model those processes? Because the ways that nature creates energy don't kill them in the process. Don't kill a lot of other species in the process, for the record. So there are 6 core tenets to biomimicry. I'm going to run through them really quickly with you, just to give you a flavor of what the operating conditions are that biomimicry has found by looking at the patterns that species that have thrived on Earth operate within. Okay, 1. Life on Earth evolves to survive. That's it. You want to live here? Don't be self-destructive. Don't self-destruct yourself, and don't look to self-destruct your community, your habitat. It's counterproductive. It doesn't work. 2, life on Earth knows that conditions will change. Living in the present recognizes that you're never going to be prepared for what's coming up. So, nature evolves with redundancy and resiliency, knowing that the best options rarely are the ones that you can plan for, but also that there are always hardships. There's always struggle when you're surviving. And if you don't plan that in, if you don't bake that contingency, you're asking for self-destruction. So, pay yourself first, evolve to survive, adapt to changing conditions. 3, nature is locally attuned and responsive. Nature uses whatever it can that's available locally, that's abundant, right? Nature makes houses out of whatever fiber is available locally. Nature mostly eats things that are local. Nature also creates opportunities within its own species and within relationships with other species that creates feedback loops that allows for communication, but coevolution, so that if you thrive, I thrive. And you know, that's where the bee and the flower, right? The flowers evolved just so to attract the bee, so that the bee will come, take its pollen, and pollinate it somewhere else. You know? And so physically they've evolved together, but in relationship too. So, nature is locally attuned and responsive. And it gives itself short feedback loops to be able to share its genius and share its surprising understandings of things right when they happen, so that the benefit of the ecosystem and the genius of that wisdom are available to the community, to the whole population. 4, this is a big one. Nature doesn't pollute. You know, we've got a beautiful big periodic table, and we like to experiment with a lot of the toxins on there, right? Like a big majority of our day as humans, we interact with highly toxic materials, substances, chemicals. We like to play with it. We like to play with it. And guess what? Nature, even though it exists, doesn't play with it though that much, you know? And then when it does, it's only ever so slightly. And it's only really when necessary. And oftentimes it'll die if it uses it. You know, nature's solvent is water. Nature uses temperatures that are ambient. You know, what do? We heat things up, we beat them into the shape that we want them, and then we treat them with chemicals that are toxic to us. And then we sleep on them most of the time. Nature does the same things that we need to do. Nature sleeps. Nature eats and drinks, produces energy, all without polluting itself or its environment. A lot of the times, nature creates energy in the same place that nature creates a nursery and creates new life forms for itself. How do we do that? 5, nature is resource efficient, both material and energy. Nature has evolved to quit the shit with feeling like material abundance or scarcity is a good reason for imbalance in its society, in its culture, in its community. And I think a big reason for that is that if you're not operating at your maximum potential, you know, if you're not being the most efficient with the resources that you have available to you, you can't be flexible, you can't be adaptive, you can't thrive, you know. So it's really important that we be efficient, because it allows us to really live on Earth. And the last one is that nature integrates development with growth. So development, I like to think of it as, a y-axis and an x-axis. And nature integrates both of them at the same time. So it's as if there's no growth without the foundation first being built as a primary requirement. And as that happens, opportunities for coevolution between new species occur. Opportunities for resiliency and redundancy occurs. Opportunities to adapt within the same species for different reasons occurs to create for diversity and prepare for growth, right? The diversity that will support the growth. And ultimately I think that what that means is nature grows. Hands down, nature grows, right? Progress. But she only grows when she's ready. And she only grows to a place and to a point where she knows that she can sustain, And this is sustain as a species. This is sustain as a whole population, and never beyond that point. So, those are the 6 life principles that are demonstrating principles found from species that have thrived on Earth for much longer than humans have been here. And I think it's the best metric that we have, these guiding posts of ways to live on Earth from biological examples of what has worked for us to model our future on, right? Like, how do we reintegrate back into nature so that as a species we can exhibit the principles that we know we need to thrive. So we can do it. I've got a big old brain. I've got choice. And we've got a lot of consciousness. So I'm excited about this. I'll be sharing more with you. But I trust that you, along your journey, will find the right way to engage with this dialogue about how to best live on Earth as a human. And if biomimicry can be a part of that conversation for you, I hope we cross paths. Sat Nam.